Hello and welcome to Michelle's Life on Repeat. I wanted to share with you something I have been saying I'm going to share with you, and those are my orchids. Overall, my whole little collection. I won't name everything because I don't have them memorized. That's just not how my brain works. But maybe like 5 years down the road, it'll be like a family member and I'll remember its name. But until then, we'll just take a peek at some of them. There's a few that I just recently purchased and they are in bloom. We opened them up about a month ago. So let's look at those together. Here I am in my cool growing room. I try to keep the window open at night. The temperature drops down, I think, to about 60, 62. Let me look on my little thermometer. It shows 69. That's not accurate. That's why I need a new one of these. But outside the temperature drops to about 45 degrees at night, and I leave the window propped open, the door is closed, and the heater vent is blocked off so that it doesn't warm up the room. And then in the day, the door's open, heater vent's still closed, but the ambient air in the house will float up the stairs and warm this room to about 69 to 72 degrees on the daytime temps, and then it drops at night. So I have my winter resters in here. Those are the ones that look like scraggly death has taken over. And they as in I haven't got there yet, but those who have experienced it, they will look like death and then one day they'll start to bloom flowers off those dead canes. So I'm waiting for the flowers. Let's take a peek. So there in the back I have a chysis, and it has beads that it's sitting in and a little bit of flush of water. About every 2 weeks I give it a flush and then drain it out. And there is normally a fan going, which is not going right now because of the noise, and it loves it when the fan blows on it. So let me take you in close and you can see that she's growing along, doing pretty good. Waiting for the new growth to show up. Next to it we have the lunatic fringe. It's an Alicera, and she bloomed once for me last year, and then this year she just looked like she was straggling, so I put her in leca. And she seems to like that colder temperature. The temperature around the leca beads or the clay balls will drop down at night a little bit cooler than the room itself, so she seems to like that. I don't keep her reservoir filled with water during the winter, but I will pour water through it and let it flush out probably once every week and a half, and then just let the beads with their coolness do their magic. Hopefully that is what she likes. I'll learn as I do these experiments because it's new for me, the leca and winter, and having a plant that needs to be a little cooler and less fuss over the winter. That's all new to me, so I'm learning and sharing as I go along. This is a branch off of a big Alicella stellar huku that started dying on me, and when it was investigated there was only a few living parts of it left, so I put her in the cooler room. So that may have been my original mistake, thinking that she loved it bright, hot, and warm. And I think she does not. I'm learning to put little tags on things that like it cooler so that I don't treat it like the rest of mine. But as you see, she does have a new growth. She was watered yesterday. The growth is coming along. The back bulb is getting all shrunk up as she is trying her best to use her reserves to grow this leaflet in the front. But just holding on. I got her in rocks, a bark mix with perlite, a little bit of sphagnum tossed in there, and a lot of rocks to prop up that new cane that is attempting to grow. Next we have some keikis that came off of some dendrobiums. They are just kind of resting for the winter. They did get a splash of water yesterday. In the back there is one of the new ones that we opened up, the Thong Chai Gold Splash, and she has opened up her balloons, and they did not perform like I had dreamed. They still are cupped, and the middles are just kind of washing out. The gold is kind of fading out on it. I did assume that the spot and the place I had them originally was too hot for them, and it was making the colors bleed a lot faster. So I moved her into this cool room. Beautiful. I love the lime green color and I love the maroon. I just anticipated it being a lot more intense, and I think next year I may keep her in cooler temperatures and find out if that is what makes the bloom fully opened up and stay more richer of a maroon in the middle. Down here in the beads is an attempt at one of my plants called the Bellara Isabella Lunar Eclipse, and she just fell apart on me again the way I was treating her. I overwatered her, and I think I had her in too hot of a room. So we have taken what is left of her and dropped her in some beads, and I treat her like a little water culture or a semi-water culture. I'll run water over the beads and give her a drink for about 5 minutes, and then I dump it all out, and then I do it again in about a week and a half, maybe 2. It's also been moved into this room because there is a cool mist humidifier going, whereas in the warm room I have a warm mist humidifier. It makes, I think, all the difference when you walk into the room. Here we have 2 dendrobium plants that are in their winter rest, so I splash water on them every once in a while. And yesterday, I did a bad. My beautiful plant, as you see her here, has a cast. I don't know if that will save her, but as I watched her fall, I just cried and held my breath, and the world went in slow motion. This one is my Victoria Regina that has a purple, beautiful purplish blue bloom. And last year when I got her, she was just getting ready to pop open, and I got 1 bloom at the end. I was hoping for a whole bunch when spring came around, but now that she cracked right in the middle, I don't know what the outcome of that will be. But as I say, the world went in slow motion, and I cried, and I was like, no! And then I said, it happens, don't beat yourself up. But I secured her in a better place, because before where she was hanging was precarious. The dendrobium next to it is one I can never pronounce, Fangensian Sinai or something to that effect. And the one up top, I got her last year and she is so healthy, but she too is going into winter rest, and so she doesn't get as much water. Let me recall what her name tag is for you all. Dendrobium Hensian Guillaumo. And then the dendrobium up top obviously is in dire need of new life. She has been in her winter rest. Her canes are real skinny. I don't know if it would be a dendrobium that gets fat canes. If so, maybe she'll get them in another season, and maybe I just didn't perform my job well in fertilizing her in the right seasons. But she's been resting. She got a splash of water yesterday. She is a dendrobium auriculatum, and she's always had skinny little canes. Every day some more leaves turn orange and drop off, and last year I got 2 white flowers out of her. Quite beautiful. Over here we have another one of my dendrobiums going into winter rest. Pretty much the green that you see on her are keikis and not actual leaves from the plant, the mother plant, but keikis growing off of her. She gets a splash of water every once in a while. She is a Dendrobium aphyllum. Here we have down below in my, it's the only one that's got more of a soil type mix. She is one of the black jewel orchids, Ludicea Hey Maria. It's called a discolor. She came, yeah, from Hauserman's. That's the one I won't use anymore. But she came as 2 plants stuck in a pot to make it look like a bushy big pot. She had a long white spike with a bunch of little white flowers on it. Really beautiful and delicate, but it was broken upon arrival, and so I put her in a vase and enjoyed that flower bloom. But I haven't seen flowers yet after that. She is getting taller and it looks like lankier. I don't know the history of how those plants, those jewel orchids work. If I am giving her too much nitrogen and she just gets taller and taller or not. So if you are aware of what she requires, let me know. I have a Miltoniopsis in the front here, I believe it is. Miltoniopsis breathless, doing her cold thing. In the back, I have one that I slipped into leca pellets. This one is a Lillian Nakamoto. And what I do, because I'm not ready to put her in a full water culture, she is in one of those air pots with little ridges of holes with leca beads, and I flush the water over her once a week. And down below is a tray of beads that has water in it just for humidity, to keep the humidity up. Here in the front we have another dendrobium that I bought this year, and she dropped one leaf that turned red yesterday. Syrinum, I don't have my glasses on, so I'm looking at, I think it says Dendrobium Syrinum, and she is in beads, kind of like a Leica. And so as you can see, she has a hole. I fill her up and then I just drain her off. There is some water at the bottom to keep a little bit of humidity in there, but none of her roots are that long that they would get to the water. But she's still attempting to grow at the top, so I don't think she goes into a winter rest just yet. She's still a young plant. I wrote notes on the side with my label maker because that's how I remember, and it says Dendrobium cinerum. She likes it cool to warm growing more, and then she'll need a cooler rest in the winter. Moist but likes bright light. And it says watch for white fuzz. I think I saw one bug on her when I got her. So I am watching to make sure there is none. I have taken a Q-tip, dipped in rubbing alcohol, and dipped it into all of her little grooves, because that's where I found the little white fuzzy critter. So I have done that, and I keep my eye open, and of course I don't share her water. She gets drained right back into the sink. Then off to the side we have another Miltonia type. This Miltonia is the twin of the other one, Miltonia Nakamoto. And she lost all of her roots in the bark system, just like her sister did. So I opted to put one in leca and one in the bead pellets. And I fill it up every once in a while and then drain it right off. But as you can see, the yellowing leaves on the side, she's not happy. No, she's not. And she hasn't grown any roots. So I'm just hoping that in this resting, more cooler time, she will begin to think about putting some roots out. And as I sit here in the editing mode for this video, I realize it is way too long for me to add the other room with the warm orchids, warm loving orchids. And that is my main primary orchid room. So I will give you a separate tour of them in a separate video. I thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. I love your comments. And if you have any knowledge about some of the plants I have, please feel free to share it with me. I appreciate those comments. I learn from them, and that's what life is about, learning together. So hey, until we talk again, bye-bye.